Thank you, Duncan and Jimmy, for your introduction. I'm going to play a 15 seconds video clip before I start.
Hey, we've got a problem here.
What did you do?
Nothing. I stirred the tanks.
Whoa. Hey.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
I want to ask you, how much time have you spent watching Netflix last weekend? I think we all know the answer to that question. And you probably remember best parts of those shows. But if I ask you, have you or how much time you've spent reading a book last weekend? And can you remember the best part of that book? Some of us, or majority of us, will struggle to answer that question. Today, I'm going to show you how Australia Post design team uses visual storytelling to influence, advocate, and engage stakeholders. The project name was Sending Made Easy. And the insight statement was, how might we improve our customer sending experience? The task was to pull out data from an existing research into customer journey maps and find a way of bringing it to life. Now, what does that mean, bringing it to life? It is how we visualize these data points into collaborative artifact that tells a story. We started by creating two personas and setting up two journey map templates on the wall. The business requirement was about sending and how often customers send, so the personas defined by frequency of sending. The first persona is occasional sender. Someone who sends below 5 items per year and will send up to 5 times a year in specific occasions like birthdays and Christmas. Believe it or not, this is our biggest customer segment. And persona 2 is the frequent sender. A small business owner who sends multiple items per occurrence and will send over 260 items per annum. They can be e-commerce business, to any service provider like schools, a law firm, or a healthcare provider. We defined 6 stages and 5 engaging swim lanes to codify qualitative data into a journey map. The stages are investigate and consider, prepare and buy, send, manage, help and support, delivered. Most of these stages are both online, offline experiences when you send something from home, office, or warehouses. We created swim lanes thinking of an empathy map, which is touch points and channels, what they're doing, what they're thinking, how they're feeling, and their pain points. After capturing all data points, our goal was to emphasize what we do bad as a service provider and focus on customer pain points. In brief, this is what we covered. During Investigate and Consider, the customers research on how they want to send, what do they need to send their item, who will they use as a service provider to send their items. What do you do when you want to send something? Most of methods we use globally is still quite traditional. It's not too difficult to figure out. And digital channels have increased the information accessibility to the palm of our hands. If not, we just walk into a post office and ask, what's the best way to send my item? Even though we thought it should be easy to send something. It was amazing what we discover, the difficulties people go through. This is what they said. I don't know which product or method to use to send my item. If I use my own packaging, will it be cheaper? And then every time I walk into different post office, I get different service and different set of products. It is very confusing. There's so much disparity between online and offline product specifications. Post office hours are same as my working hours. Never suits me to send anything. I have to stand in a queue pretty much every time I walk into a post office just to ask for information. And that was only for occasional sender. For the small business sender, what's the best packaging solution available for my business? OSPOS packaging solutions are too expensive and they are too heavy on OSPOS branding. It doesn't have room for me to use my branding. So you can imagine how complex and difficult it is to send something with us. Second stage is prepare and buy. It's about how do the customer prepare items? Do they use their own packaging or buy an OSPOS product from online or in store? And how do they use it? Simple as we thought, it is complex for customers. And they said, it is difficult to figure out the cost where I want to send my item. Australia Post website is difficult to navigate. I have to wait in a queue again to purchase the packaging. I can't process bulk items and pay through the online calculator. With my Post Business app, it is difficult to create my labels online. Then we moved into sending. This stage has always been an offline experience by OSPOS, as well as most competitors like DHL, UPS, FedEx, because this is the phase customers physically walks in and drops the item either into a post box or hand over to the customer counter staff. You must be thinking how difficult that can be, but customers had few difficulties. This is what they said. I have to stay in the queue again, sometimes just to drop off the item at the counter. Sending an item internationally is complicated and difficult. I get conflicting information regarding products depending on who's serving me at different post offices. Then customers moves into stage 4, which is manage. In this stage, customers monitor the progress of the item they have sent. Over 95% of our customers uses digital channels to manage their item. They just want to know that everything is okay with their item after it's been let go. But we found more disparity here. They said, when item is in transit, we want to know where in transit item is. Customer wants transparency. And there are no push notifications for sender. It's only for receiver. Tracking through Australia Post Business app is not accurate. It's quite rigid. Tracking updates for international items are insufficient. Stage 5, help and support. This is the stage customer engages to resolve any questions or problems they have with the item they've sent. Both customer segments mostly use physical channels in here. Either they use customer services hotline or walks into a post office. During this stage, customer pain points were, I don't know which channel serves me best to solve my problem. And I really like this one. Because I use the street post box to send my item, I don't have any evidence of sending. I mean, have you ever thought of this when you drop anything into a post box? inconsistencies over omni-channel support experiences. Also, there is no clear timeline on resolution. I have to compensate my customer while Australia Post resolve the matter. Now we are at the last stage, delivered. This stage is supposed to be customer fulfillment of sending experience, getting to know what they have sent, been delivered on time and undamaged. And the pain points were, as a sender, I don't know whether item has been delivered. The item has been delivered damaged. If it's late or damaged, why do I have to do the chasing? And as a business sender, the first time I know when something has gone wrong is when I receive a complaint from my customer. Why do I have to do all the work just to know whether my item has been delivered when I'm a paying customer? After mapping the journeys, we moved into the next phase, which is validating the journeys we created. This is about how do you know what you have built is true to the customer value, or in this exercise, is it true to the business value, or maybe both? We validated these journeys with our product owners and senior portfolio management. We asked them, have we missed anything? Is there any gaps between what Australia Post offer and how customers engage with them? After 2 successful sessions and more data points, it helps us to take this to our next phase, which is iterating the affinity mapping. The validated data points needed to move its way towards accurate clusters we created before validation to give more evidence and value to this living artifact. The team had few mapping sessions to complete the journey and take this to the next level, which is visualizing the journey and bring it to life. This is the most important part of this talk, and this is where visual storytelling actually starts. Fortunately, the team had a healthy budget. We hired an illustrator to visualize the journey. This is one of my most enjoyable part of the exercise as well as most challenging, because I spent 5 days straight articulating each cluster into scenarios so Andrew, my illustrator, can visualize this. This is where all the previous tasks like research, mapping, validation, iteration becomes a storytelling artifact. This is how you can use fundamental physical prop to sell your story and influence value of the designer and design practice to its stakeholder. I'm going to take you through the 6 illustrations we produce as an output. This is investigate and discover, prepare and buy. On top you can see the occasional sender experience. Bottom you can see the frequent send experience. In the center we place the pain points of both personas. This is send and manage. This is help and support and delivered. During our stakeholder walkthrough, few conversations between the stakeholders gave us an aha moment. One of them was Chief Product Officer and Chief Marketing Officer start engaging on a conversation like, how can we reduce branding on a product line so we can offer better value for small businesses or small business customers so they can use their own branding instead. This is the value you bring your creativity on strategy in the form of visual storytelling. And it was more than an aha moment for us. It was a great win. There were many collaborative conversations started during the walkthrough, which led to new programs and initiatives shaping towards delivery in September 2020 and April 2021. I want to show you one of the initiatives in progress that I am working on right now. It is electronic advanced declaration and customer declaration form process. Since sending made easy journeys, one of the initiatives is to reduce pain points by simplifying online-offline process for international sending. We have defined the user flow here and identified gaps. The team is working closely with digital and product teams designing the solution now, targeting to test in September and go to trial in January 2021. Did you know in 2018, 1.3 trillion has spent on transformation initiatives, and 70% of those initiatives failed? This is not because of lack of technical capabilities. This is because teams set course without measurable guides and leave assumptions unexamined. You may have recognized my difficulty of articulating the journey with over hundreds of data points during this talk. And you have been looking at me for over 9 minutes of this talk without a visual slide. Remember the question I asked about remembering what you read last weekend? Imagine I did the same with our stakeholders without the visual artifacts. Many researchers proves visual storytelling is 80% more effective than using words only. Remember, artifacts are there to simplify process, not to complicate. That is the role you need to play as a designer in an organization where you will design innovation theater and create innovation engines. Thank you.